Hello. So, friends, I'm Lear DeBessenet. I am the director of Once Upon a Mattress. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for staying for this conversation. I'm so happy to be with you. We have cast members that are changing quickly out of costume and will join us momentarily up here. I want to say a special thank you to American Express for tonight, for making it such a special night. American Express is our official Once Upon a Mattress card partner, and a special welcome to American Express card holder members, and also welcome everybody else. It's great to have you all. Hi. So I'm hoping that you were able to feel in the making of this. Well, that was super speedy and slick. Thank you.
We don't want to sit next to the director in case she has notes.
You know, you were fabulous. I'm so happy to see y'all. So, Sutton Foster and Michael Urie. Dreamiest possible actors, but also just dreamiest humans. And I think you may have sensed as you were watching that we have a lot of fun together and that there was a lot of joy in the making of this. That was not faked. I actually don't think you can entirely fake that. Yeah. So let's start off, just lob an easy one at you. What is something that you especially love about this show? It can be either that you love about the performing of it or just about it, even outside of your own experience.
I think it's so wonderful to be in a show that is just a joy bomb.
Yes.
This is Amanda.
Amanda Lamott, brilliant, thank you. Okay, Sutton is...
It's so fun to be in a show that's just that's so joyous and fun. I think that's, and everyone on stage it's such a happy building. There's always food in the basement. Daniel Breaker likes to cook. He plays the jester. And so tonight there were meatballs and pasta. He makes mac and cheese, gumbo. I mean, there's always something. It's like, it's a very loving company. And so it's just a real joy to come to work.
And Sutton gets his bagels every Saturday.
This is all true.
Yeah, that's all. And she leads a warm-up for us on matinee days. We all come out here, the orchestra, the crew, the ushers, we all do this workout, warm-up that Sutton leads. It's really, it's 10 minutes, but it's not easy. But it's good, and you know, like she's a force, as you know, as you just saw. And it all, you know, I love doing this. I love this show because of the way it makes all of us together feel together. You can't like Lear said, you can't fake that. You can't fake that spontaneous thing that happens when
Nikki Renee Daniels joining us on stage. Yay.
That spontaneity, you can't fake that, and it really does happen. I mean, there are things that happen every night, every show, that are new and fresh and different, and you're seeing something that no one else will see, really, actually. And I love that. I also love the music, the lush music, and the voices.
This Mary Rogers score,
yes. Just
gorgeous. Thank you.
It's such a beautiful thing to sit and listen to backstage and hear over and over again. And I get songs that aren't songs I'm stuck in my head all the time. Her songs get stuck. Happily. I get happily. I get that in my head. It's an earworm.
Yes, the great David Patrick Kelly, my friends.
What do you love about the show?
For you all just joining us, we're talking about just what is something you love about the show, either your experience of performing it or just about it overall.
I think something that's magical about this show, and they kind of touched on this, but what's happening on stage is different every night, and this cast is so locked in with each other and so present with each other and so honest with each other, and we're telling the story fresh every night, and we're having the most fun. I think this is the most fun I've ever had on stage with a company because it is genuinely true play up here, which I think is special and different.
Yeah. I love all of those things. I also love getting to see all the children in the audience. I have 2 daughters, and they can't always come see my shows. So it's nice to be in a show that I know that they can enjoy and that I don't have to worry about them having a nightmare or anything. I met a little girl at the stage door yesterday. I was signing playbills, and she was 3 years old. It was her first show. And her parents said, "She thinks you're her sister." And she was so excited. So it's just, I love getting to see the joy in the children's faces, especially.
Yeah, my 8-year-old son, when he came to see us for the first time on Broadway, he had seen the show when we did the brief run at Encores. And when we came during Sutton's entrance scene, like I started to see him sticking his hands in the air like this. And, you know, I'm just mindful of not wanting to disturb people around us, the people behind us, and I didn't realize what was happening. And he was in preparation doing the Mardi Gras, like, throw me a slug thing, which he remembered that was coming. So, yeah. DP?
There's too many things. You know, it's just a rich... I started on Broadway in 1978, and Mary Rodgers wrote a song for that show called Working. And it was about an old teacher about to retire and how things had changed. And I'm getting touched now because the late, great Bobo Lewis sang that song. She won a drama desk for that one song and that play. The play didn't last very long, really, Working. It was Stephen Schwartz trying to direct it. But Mary Rodgers' song was really, really great. So there's so many other things, aside from working with this fantastic cast. Lear's Poetics. I've done 3 plays with Lear now, and her idea of bringing the community and that the community is the solution to things, you know, and even in this fairy tale play, that's what it's about. We're the ones who stuff the things under the mattresses and make the solution to the problem of how do you overcome oppression, you know, and doing stuff like that with the philosophical content, you know, going back to Hans Christian Andersen and his, you know, sort of, if tremulous is the right word, spirituality that's all through it, you know, about beauty, concepts of beauty and concepts of appropriateness and concept, you know, that his tortured soul put out in all those great fairy tales, you know, and so that's part of the reason I like doing it. But then the opportunity, won't be as long as the history of golf, but it will be. You know, I studied with Marcel Marceau. So, and the last time I saw him on stage, and he would put a stool for his students backstage when he toured. And the last place I saw him was at City Center, where we started this in the early 70s. And so, in my humble way, I'm trying to do homage to those guys, Chaplin and Buster Keaton and Marcel Marceau. You know, and to have that opportunity and to be inspired by the original people, Jack Gilpin and Buster Keaton took over the role from Jack Gilpin in the 60s. So that's part of the list.
I love it. Thank you. So some of you may know this or may have read Mary Rodgers' book, Shy, that talks a little bit about the making of the show when they first created it. And I think something that you can probably feel deep in the DNA of this piece is it was written basically at an adult summer camp in the Catskills. And they made it in like 9 days. And they made it not originally thinking about, you know, trying to go to Broadway. They kind of made it to like crack each other up. They made it out of, again, real joy and a sense of fun. And it was very much made for the specific people that did it. So, you know, it was like, oh, you know, this person is really hilarious, but shouldn't say many lines. Maybe they can be the king. You know, it was created to fit the talents of the original people. And then it was just this like amazing thing that the show introduced Carol Burnett to the world, and it just kept, they kept extending on Broadway, and it had this sort of whole other life to it. But I love to think about that kind of summer camp origin to it and the playfulness of that. And it, you know, in thinking about this sort of spirit of play and what it feels like as a kid to make things. I feel like I have thought of this show both for us as artists and also for the audience as in some way a chance to kind of reconnect with that very pure impulse of like, what is it to play? And I am wondering, for you all who now are full grown-ups playing for a living, I'm wondering if you could each share something about what it was that made you, as presumably a kid, want to do this, want to play in this way. And again, my hope is that the experience of this lets people reconnect to why they wanted to do this to begin with. But would you share something about why you wanted to do this? Pass it all the way. Yes.
I was actually really shy as a kid. I'm actually kind of a naturally shy person. So just the idea of taking on a different personality and being someone else is really fun to me. Also, I just have always loved music. I played piano and flute, and I didn't start singing until I was older because I was too shy to sing in the church choir when I was younger. But once I started singing, I just truly fell in love with it. It's the thing I love the most, other than my family, of course. So to get to sing on Broadway stages for a living, I just pinch myself every day. I can't believe that this is what I get to do.
I actually was a child actor, so this is a thing that I've done always. But I was a teenager, and I went to go see the national tour of Hairspray. And they were doing You Can't Stop the Beat, which I don't know if you know is joyful, and I'm sobbing in the audience because the energy coming off the stage was so overwhelming to me. And I was like, why am I crying? Like, why do I feel this way? And then I realized that energy that was coming off the stage and hitting all of the people in the audience, I was like, I have to make people feel that way, and I have to find a way to have that energy in my life all the time.
When I was 6, we moved from Houston to Dallas, and in the middle of the school year, and because my dad got transferred, and I didn't know anybody at my new school, and I had been kind of outgoing, but then I went really, really into my shell, and I didn't have very many friends, and I played alone a lot with action figures. And I had all kinds of action figures, and I would play with them until they fell apart. And I would watch movies, and then I would play the movies with my action figures. And my parents were always like kind of worried about me because I was always alone playing with my action figures. But I had like a whole world going on. And then when I outgrew action figures way too late, I was playing with action figures way too late. And I started to make friends. Yeah, I mean, I still, when I go to my parents' house and I pull out the action figures, I still play with them. But when I started to make friends, I would make my friends do shows in my backyard, and we would make movies, and I was really bossy, and they would go along with it, but eventually they'd be like, "Can we just go ride bikes, or can we do something else?" But that whole, my parents never told me no. They never said stop playing. They never said stop playing and stop doing this, stop doing this. And I was terrible at sports, and they didn't make me do that. And I think that whole idea of being told no is when we stop being a kid. And my parents were really good about not doing that. And my dad sometimes made fun of me and said, "Stop acting like Jerry Lewis." He'd be like, "You're acting like Jerry Lewis. Get away! Stop being silly. Stop acting." And then when I became an actor and got on TV, he was like, "Aren't you glad I encouraged you to be like Jerry Lewis?" And I was like, "It's not really how I remember it, Dad, but okay, great."
So I was a dancer first. My mom put me in dance lessons because I had a lot of energy, and I was always running into walls. And so she put me in ballet and tap and jazz. And for we lived in Augusta, Georgia, and was the Augusta West Dance Academy, and they had a Christmas pageant, pet show, and I was an elf, and I was in charge of opening up the toy box to let out the toy soldiers, and I remember it was just me, and I would open the thing, and I kept doing things that made the audience laugh. And I was like, like, what is this magical thing? And I would like fall down, or I would like I was trying all these things. And that was the first time I was like, oh, what is this? What is this? And I was thinking about play too, this idea of play. And I have a 7-year-old daughter who does a lot of imaginary play and is like, and it's amazing. And I remember as a kid saying, I will never stop playing, ever, ever. And so I've never stopped playing.
Yes.
It's a huge subject, so I'll just free associate a little bit. Probably the Catholic Church in the 50s, you know. Nothing bad happened. It was the days when you had to memorize Latin, you know. So, you know, it was memorization and memorizing lines, and you could get by sometimes because you memorized the beginning of the prayer, and then you just mumble during the other prayer. So you say, introivo ad altare Dei, you know. But, and the vestments, you know, the priests were like knights to me. They really were like, you know, they had these custom vestments, you know, and their chalices were like customized, you know, and they'd get, you know, ordained. And so that was a beginning. And then the other was music. And the Beatles and Ed Sullivan Show on our broken black and white television, you know. And I was just telling Sutton this before the show about my mother giving me a mandolin, which is my instrument, which I played in many Broadway shows, and that was it. And like Nikki, I was shy as well. I was quite shy. My uncle said, I don't know how you ever became an actor, you know, because you're always hiding behind furniture and stuff. And but I was never afraid to sing. Somebody would say, you know, Kelly can sing, stand up. And I was never afraid, so that was that was sort of the key. That was the entree, and started from there.
I love it. I love it. Well, yeah, I mean, play is not, and that imaginative space is not something that goes away as we age. I think, you know, life and its very real and at times crushing pressures make it difficult to sustain that. But I love hearing y'all's stories, and thank you all so much for joining in our play. I hope you had a wonderful time. We are at time for this talk back. We're gonna give you your evening back, but thank you so much. It's really special to be with you. Thank you.